watched cricket for a period of time, it does look or seem like he's using something to alter the ball, and it all looks a bit sheepish when he's immediately seen or been told, and he tries to hide it in his crotch. So it does seem like it's a bit of sandpaper. We saw the incident in PE between Avey and David Warner having an argument over the tape in his hand and various other things, and yeah, the footage doesn't look good.
Look, I don't care who you are, you can't tamper with the ball. Now, we don't know, we can't make accusations because you don't know. I don't care if it's Australia or South Africa, you just can't do the things that it looks like that we all think it's doing. So, to me, that'd be really disappointing, and a lot of the Australian sides I played in, I never did anything like that. And so I'd be disappointed. I feel a bit for Cameron Bancroft because I don't think he's taken it upon himself to do something and put it in his pocket. He would have been, now who's told him to do that? How does he say, well, you're the man that's going to do that? I don't know what that process is, so it's important to find out that. I think we've just got to get to the bottom of why that has happened and what was it. You've got to own up. You've been caught. You've got to own up and say, well, what was it that you were hiding? It's as simple as that. You can't have that in the game.
Alistair, some pretty unedifying scenes coming out of Cape Town. When you've seen the footage, what have you made of it?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, it's obviously as clear as day what's happened. It's not right in the game of cricket, and you know, ultimately that responsibility lies with the captain who takes his team on the field. So look, I mean, it's a very dangerous thing for me to comment too much on here without just inflaming the situation. You know, they've obviously Australia come out and admitted, you know, they cheated and ball tampered. So you know, it's up for, I suppose, the ICC and Cricket Australia to deal with it. I mean, yeah, it just doesn't look good on the whole for the game of cricket.
In terms of the responsibility as captain for your team, you know how heavily that can weigh on you. How heavy does it weigh on a captain?
It does, and you know, it's the biggest honour in sport, isn't it, to captain your country and in high pressure situations, and you know, everyone's desperate to win. We all hear a lot about this line Australia talk about that they never go over. It is an interesting one, but look, we're a long way away here. We've obviously got to concentrate on our game here, where ultimately we haven't played very well in the first 2 days of this game, and the bit of rain has obviously given us the chance to come out of this with a draw if we play some better cricket.
I mean, Smith said the team haven't done it before. I don't see why they've changed their method for this Test match. I mean, you look through our Ashes series, they seem to, in most of the Test matches, get the ball reversing. I don't see why they'd have changed their method for this game. But look, I mean, yeah, it's a real shame. It's making news all around the world by the look of it. We've been quite sheltered from it today in the changing room here, well, out in the field really, but in the change room here at Eden Park. But I think it's a story that will run for a few days for sure.
Did you feel they pushed the line in the Ashes in terms of behavioural things and other things that's going around what's being said in Cape Town at the moment?
I mean, I saw Lehman came out yesterday, didn't he, or 2 days ago, saying the South African crowd have overstepped the line, and anyone who's toured Australia will laugh at those comments, and you do. I mean, our change room today heard what Lehman said about the South African crowd. I mean, when you've toured Australia and your families have toured Australia, you've heard the banter, I suppose they call it, in the crowd. You find it strange when the Australian team or coaches complaining about another country, how they're sort of the behaviours shocked them and stuff. So, look, I'm a believer in sport, especially if you give it, then you've got to take it sometimes, haven't you?
How do you see it?
Australia, yet again, a total disregard for the game, for the ethics of the game. It's cheap, it's cheating, as has been said in the headline. Intrigued about this group that they have, this leadership group, and the young fella who we don't know too much about, Bancroft, he seems to be taking the rap
press
for it.
conference for various different reasons.
For all sorts of things, and it's Australia yet again. And the captain just there saying it's not the way we want to be seen. I'm afraid it is exactly how you were seen, a culmination of events with a total disregard for the game.
The premeditated nature of it, though, does that trouble you? They were trying, for example, earlier in the series to get Rabada banned because he wanted a certain amount of points.
Yeah. They seem, to me, we're a long way away, they seem totally out of control, with no leadership of management or captaincy or coach or chief executive. We believe that the chief executive is going to speak in the next hour. It'll be very interesting what he has to say. But there are many bigger issues here. Just the behaviour of a team. They look totally out of control. It is the wider issue of, yet again, this Australian team talking about the line. We haven't crossed the line. I wonder if they have now.
Where does Lehmann sit in all this? Steve Smith in his press conference said the management had no knowledge of this. As a coach, would you have no knowledge that a senior group like that, all those players in that dressing room, were up to something?
I would find that very difficult to believe, to be honest. Premeditated, we think about it, we chat about it. How many people are there in this leadership group? Will it come out who these leaders are? Just say the captain goes, they sack the captain. What about this leadership group? Where do they sit in all this?
Should the captain go?
I think, personally, yes, I think he should in this instance. Not purely for this incident. Although he's the build, everything about it, it just seems I'm a long way away. They look out of control.
From Auckland to Cape Town, Steve Smith, the Australian captain, has been banned by ICC for one test match. He won't play in Johannesburg, and Cameron Bancroft has had a bit of a slap across the wrist under the regs that govern ball tampering. That's not the end of it, though, is it?
No, those are the regs that govern ball tampering, which is a level 2 offence for Bancroft and a more significant one for the captain, who holds the team responsible under the kind of spirit of cricket. What's more of a problem for them is the pressure that Cricket Australia are feeling from all angles, really. We saw the politicians getting involved yesterday. The tenders have just gone out for the new broadcast deal. Sponsors are grousing a bit. There is a great deal of anger and despair and bitterness from Australian cricket supporters. But I have to say, I think some of the reaction has been completely over the top.
In what way?
Well, calls for Smith to be banned for life, ridiculous. Politicians getting on their high horse, saying they've disgraced the nation. They should look a bit closer to home for some of the things that have gone on. So I think some of the reaction has been over the top.
The public's reaction, though, has been so strong that Cricket Australia will have no choice but to do something hard, and it might be further than just Steve Smith, would it not?
Absolutely, and that goes back to the original points that we made, that you put this in the context of what's been happening. James Sutherland, the Chief Executive of Cricket Australia, has had to speak to the captain, Steve Smith, on a number of occasions about the team's behaviour. So this is the kind of straw that breaks the camel's back. So it's not just about this one episode, it's a more general behavioural situation, and that's why you know, Steve Smith and the senior players, the leadership team is in trouble. But I repeat, some of the reaction totally over the top.
Look, when I watch that, I feel for those two guys. And I know, I can't believe I say that because of what's happened, but Cameron Bancroft, this is his 8th test match. I can't believe if the leadership group has made a decision to do this, that they've gone and got the young kid who's playing his 8th test match to do that. You know, as a leader, you can't ask somebody to do something you're not willing to do yourself, number one. Steve Smith is such a lovely, lovely guy. You can see there he's just shattered, you know. I really feel sorry for him.
The bottom line, two things, if I may say. Do you acknowledge that for what it is, cheating? And the second question is, should he go? Is it cheating?
It's premeditated cheating. It's blatant cheating. Okay. It's disgraceful. It's not accepted by anyone, and particularly an Australian. We've got the best bowling attack in the world. We don't need to cheat to beat anybody.
So we've got an Australian cricket captain, premeditated, cold-blooded cheating. Ipso facto, is it not obvious that he must resign?
I don't think it'd be fair for me, Fitz, to answer that question right now. I think I'm too emotional. I think I'm just going off footage that I've seen. I haven't spoken to any players. I haven't spoken to the Australian captain. I think I would need to do a lot more groundwork before I could make that decision. But I can guarantee you, this is not a good look for, you know, the leadership group. Well, to me,
who is the leadership group?
Yeah, well,
that's what I want to know. And they're all a part of this. They've all made that decision, and a really poor decision. So they've all got to go, really.
Well, in my time, I don't know who the current leadership group is. In my time, if we had a leadership group, it was captain, vice captain, and coach. But I don't know what the current leadership group is. I don't know if they've got other senior players, do they have other support staff? I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, and this has probably been my gripe with Australian cricket over, you know, the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years. I think our structure has changed. When I grew up watching cricket, the captain was in charge of the Australian cricket team, always. My father's team, Mark Taylor's team, Alan Border's team, Steve Waugh's team. Halfway through my captaincy, that changed. They took the coach word out and brought in a head coach. They brought in a high-performance manager. So then you've got board, CEO, high performance manager, head coach, chairman of selectors, and then the captain. So that blurs accountability.
Gilly, this story is huge. As a proud former Australian cricketer, how do you feel about all of this?
Look, I was stunned. That was my first reaction. I pick up the phone like a lot of people do in the morning. I just couldn't believe what I saw. That then followed with the emotion of a feeling of embarrassment, but that was overridden by sadness. And it's still a really emotional thing to be, even to believe that I'm talking about this. It is unbelievable. But watching the snippets there and being here today, walking around, the comments from everyone, what it's reminded me is just what cricket means to Australians and where it fits in our society, and it's part of the fabric of the nation, and it means so much. And yet we are now the laughingstock of not just the cricketing world, but the sporting world.
Gilly, it was interesting watching the clips just then. You had almost a physical reaction to it. You know, you threw yourself back in the chair, you threw your pen down.
I find that press conference incredibly hard to watch. It really, it just churns your stomach. And I'm trying to step back and think, okay, I was a player once. The worst thing you wanted to see as a player was ex-players jumping on the team, sort of being anti the Australian cricket team. And I keep asking myself, hang on, am I going too hard? Am I getting too emotional and carried away with this? But I can't find an answer to that being, yes, you're getting carried away.
Was there ever this sort of thing discussed during your time? I mean, there's a bit of that noise around today that everyone does it.
That's what I think we're going to see play out in the next 24, 48 hours. Comments of various commentators or people around saying, well, everyone does it. Maybe should just be made legal, but it doesn't matter. It's black and white in the rules. The underarm incident, people are saying it's the worst moment since then, from the 80s. Well, that was a bend on the spirit of the game. That was still within the laws of the game. At that stage, you could bowl underarm. It wasn't very sporting, but you could. This is much black and white.
It's much worse. This is like painting a horse and trying to win a race called Fine Cotton.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just blatant cheating. You saw Flem there say that it was stupid. Damien, it's not stupid. If this is unfolded as we've been told, we have it as a captain and at least one of our players are cheats. Simple as that. So how can Steve Smith go out there in half an hour's time and captain the Australian cricket team if he's a cheat?
Well, as to what happens in this Test match, that who cares really?
What do you think should happen? What do you think should happen tonight?
I can't see how Steve Smith can be the captain of the team going forward from here. I think that decision will be taken out of his hands.
What about tonight, though?
Yeah, look, I haven't even stopped to really analyse that. As I say, I don't think anyone's really going to be bothered what the result of this game is. I think that if they do play it out, they're going to get blown off the park anyway, because I can't see how they could be focused, and they're in such a dire situation anyway from a game.